Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Featherhoof, and welcome back to the third and final installment of this here build series for the PC of March 2018, where this episode is going to be focused primarily on showing off some of the features that a lot of the NZXT extras I bought afforded me, some of the features that come with getting an EVGA graphics card, as well as showing off the power of this system, what the system can do as far as graphics are concerned, by showing a couple of benchmarks, some frame rates, stuff like that. So we're going to get right on into it. But before we do, disclaimer time. Once again, as I said last episode, I may be as woefully wrong about some things as you can possibly be. I'm still learning. I'm not an expert by any means. I just, I pick up little nuggets of knowledge as I go along, things I've read on the internet, stuff I've learned from experience. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. You should always do that, no matter who you're watching, no matter what opinion you're getting. Always take everything with a grain of salt and do your own research. That's what's important in building a PC. Do your own research. Weigh the pros and the cons of everything you read. So, without further ado, let's jump, let's stop listening, looking at me, and let's look at what the PC can do. Okay, and right here you can see my desktop, with my pretty Final Fantasy XIV background, as well as NZXT's c.a.m software sitting right here. And for reasons of what NZXT can offer us, we're going to go ahead and show a look at the case right here, right over here in the bottom right hand corner. I'm going to put a feed of my case live as we're doing stuff. Because, well, you'll see in a little while. But also because I wanted to show you what the case looked like with the tempered glass side panel on it. I did not get to show you guys that. So this is how it looks. You can see the tempered glass panel has a nice tint to it, so you don't see a lot of the components. You see the lights. You see the lights going off. It's a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, and I really like it. However, because I want to show you what this can do, it shows up a lot better without the side panel off, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the side panel. There we go. As you can see, I'm going with a gold and white theme currently. I'm going with a white theme because the NZXT hue at the bottom left-hand corner that has that white light, as well as the Corsair Dominators, the light is just permanently white. So I figured just go with the theme. Black case, white lights, yellow lights, and it looks nice, in my opinion. I may change up the theme at some point. Who knows? Maybe you guys might have a suggestion for a nice theme. If you do, leave it in the comments below. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about c.a.m. Now, some people have some negative opinions of c.a.m. I don't care. I've been using it for a couple of months prior to building this rig. I didn't have all the options because I didn't have all the NZXT products, but I've been using it to monitor my system, learn what my normal temps are in my old system, using it here, seeing the differences between the two, which I'll point out as we go. And it's worked just fine for those, for those purposes. So I don't get a lot of the hate of c.a.m so far. It's been fine for me. Let's go ahead and go across the top. As you can see, we have options for screenshot. Take a screenshot of everything that's displayed on c.a.m currently. Change it from day mode to night mode. I don't know why you would want it on day mode. That looks awful in my opinion. Notifications and your settings. We'll go through settings real quick. Account. You have to make an account for NZXT. It sends a little bit of data back to NZXT as far as your system configuration. It doesn't send any personal data. It just stuff about your components. That's it. And it doesn't even do that very often or even use a lot of data to do so. General, your typical things, temperature, Fahrenheit, Celsius, enable detections, language, color, so on and so forth. Frames per second gives you your nice little display for when you're playing games, so you can monitor your temps and your frames per second. It does not work with all games. I tried it with Mass Effect Andromeda. It crashes Mass Effect Andromeda at the start screen every time. So don't even bother, but every other game I've tried this on, it worked flawlessly. It's only been Mass Effect Andromeda that's failed. That may say something about Mass Effect Andromeda, despite the fact I still like the game. Not good, but I like it. And of course, all your notification details. You can tell it's when to yell at you, you know. So if you're not paying attention to all the numbers, all the temps and the whatnot, this will actually, you know, set up things to warn you, to come up and just automatically say, oh, whoa, look at this. So those are your settings. So let's go back to our dashboard and let's point it out here. As you can see, we have our CPU, our i7-8700K. We have our idle temp here that it's a little higher than normal. I have the side panel off, I think is why. So I don't have the direct airflow going straight over to the CPU and the GPU. It's now dissipating out into the area outside the case. I don't know if that's true. Again, take everything I say with a grain of salt. But usually I'm getting about 34, 32 degrees idle temp. Load, you know, so you can see how much load, your clock speed, your fan speed. Obviously, fan speed is 0 because I don't have the anything plugged into the fan speed, you know, to detect fan speed. I have the fan speed, the fan controller, the grid. Here you have the GPU, same deal. The fans are off here because it's not being taxed. The fans don't come on until this it surpasses 60 degrees. As you see, it's idling at 59 right now. That's unusual for me because, like I said, when the side panel's on, I'm idling at about 54, 53, which is higher than my last PC. But again, I think it's because of the configurations I said in the last video. And also, hey, this is also a far more powerful graphics card. It may make more heat. But it's nice looking at both these, and you can see the nice little, like, you know, RPM looking design, but it also has graph design if you prefer that. Giving your mins and your average min and max, showing each core. Same down here, showing just your average, you know, load versus temperature. So that's nice. I like it. Down here we got our RAM usage. I have a lot of shit running in the background right now, so that's probably why that's so high. Because C.a.m itself only takes about 1%, if even. Here we have all my drives. I have 3 drives. 1 drive I've partitioned in 2 for drives E and F, because that's just the way I like to do it. And my game drive. Look at that. You know, I've only had the game for the system running for a week. Almost 500 gigs used just for games. And I have like 20 games installed. That's it. Also, a neat little trick. If you if you go back to the settings, we got to switch to minicam. We can take our dashboard and make it this, and it's nice and tiny. We can go back, or we can go full screen, and we get all of this. So it gives us all this data. We got our components of our CPU, our GPU, RAM, motherboard, all our temps. We got net usage, frames per second averages from the... well, actually, no, that's live frames per second of the last game we played. I don't remember playing something called Vegas 140. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't know what that's referring to. Oh, Sony Vegas. When I was editing, I didn't know it was counting frames per second for Sony Vegas. That was weird. We got our NVIDIA GeForce 1080, giving us the same information we showed before. All our cores, as well as also the RPM view. I got our our build right here. It shows what we have in the pooter, and we go back to our normal size. Here we have, or we could go to build. This is like we said on the left-hand side, but now it's larger. You can see it all. I don't know why it doesn't see my second hard drive that I split into the 2 partitions here. It doesn't see the model type. It's the same it's the exact same model here. So I don't know why it doesn't show it. Probably some kind of bug or glitch. Don't know why. But it still shows the capacities, so I'm fine with that. Nothing else here. I can add a picture of my CPU or my PC if I want it up here. Change its name. Oh, here's the version of C.a.m we're using, 3.5.80, which you can also find up here in About C.a.m. You check for updates, firmware revisions, all that jazz. Here we have the game section, which shows us our frames per second of all the last programs we tried to play. It shows us our temps, our highs, and our lows, as well as all the games we played, I think up to a point. I don't know how far back it goes. It shows our playtime, our average CPU with mins and max, average GPU and CPU with mins and max, as well as our average frames per second. Moving on down to overclocking. With the C.a.m, you can just do a simple overclock of your whole system. I don't touch this. Not yet. I haven't gotten there yet in confidence that I know what I'm doing yet. Someday I will. I will be playing with that then, not now. So moving on before I fuck something up. Here we have our Kraken X. It's currently in silent mode, which we can edit. You see the fan and the pump. And then we have our profiles from fixed, setting it to a fixed speed. Performance, where it will make sure that it has the lowest temperature physically possible while sacrificing sound. It will be much louder. Or you can set up your own custom profile. You can do it for pump, you do it for fan. Individually, same thing for each one of the fans down here with the Grid Plus version 3. You set each fan, the fan cursor each one, name each one. Again, adding each one to silent, fixed, or performance mode. So far, I've been leaving it on silent, and I haven't been having a problem. It's been working fine. If you want to know which fan is which, because I had one fan missing, I was able to figure out which one it was. This is the top left-hand corner of the Grid Plus. This is the bottom right-hand corner. So I was able to remember which fan I put in which, and I was able to label them accordingly using the label button. But here's the fun part, and this is why we have the feed of the PC down here in the bottom right-hand corner, the lighting. We have our Kraken X, we have our Hue Plus, and we have all kinds of options we can play around. We can set it to sync, and it will all sync together. We could all do, as you can see, it just syncs it all straight to the basic default fixed mode. But when you do here, you have far less options, because the Kraken doesn't have all the same options that the Hue Plus does, and vice versa. So we're not going to play with that. We're going to turn that off. And I'm going to show you some of the fun little bits you can do with just the Kraken. See, we have fixed. It's just, as you can see, the label NZXT is just on. We can change it to breathing. As you see, it says a different color, and now it's breathing on and off. You can add multiple colors, and it will breathe through those colors. You'll start with one, then the second, then the third, and then cycle. And fading, it's sort of like what I was saying, but instead it actually goes from, in this case, red to green to blue, but it's actually fading between the color scale from one to the next. So you can see currently it's going from green, now it's going to go to that blue, it's going to do every shade through to that blue, and then from that blue back to red. And it's a really nice one if you have some kind of idea in mind. Pulse, I'm not a fan of. I see pulse, pulse, pulse. Boring. Don't like it. But then there's spectrum wave. I'll show that in a minute. We'll come back to that. Whoa. No. Go back to fix. There we go. The infinity mirror ring is similar, but it has a lot more options. I have it set on marquee. As you can see, it's spinning around in a circle. Fixed, breathing, and fading, you've all seen. Covering marquee, that's new. As you can see, it goes from blue and then green. So it's doing the same thing as marquee, but it's going between colors. So that's really nice. Pulse, you've seen it before. Spectrum wave, again, we'll show that off in a minute. Alternating, again, ugly. You just flip back and forth, give Asian kids seizures. Tai Chi, it's sort of like marquee. It's just moving a lot slower, which you can change the speed interval. We can make it go really fast. There we go. Water cooler. I don't know if it's based on water cooler speed or temperature. I actually don't know because there's no options here, so I don't know what this does. It has something to do with the water cooler. I'm imagining it's probably temps. I mean, it just sort of looks like it's giving the impression that the hot water from the bottom is moving up to the top for the nice cool air and moving in a circle that way. Load, it's giving you, you can actually set it so that it will move faster based on how much load you have on your CPU. Of course, you can set the color, and it goes like that. So we're going to go back to my preferred, go back. And now we have the lights, as you can see, are doing, right now we have on the marquee, a lot of the same stuff, actually all the same stuff, except now we have Candlelight. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and mix the fans and the lights together, because they're basically the same thing, only one's in a circular formation, one's in a line formation. So we're going to go ahead and do them all at once. We have Candlelight, which is supposed to, like, give the impression that there's like a flickering candle. You can sort of see it on the camera. But what it's doing a slight flicker effect, which is a little neat. Wings, as you know, it's going in and out. Yeah, out, in, out, in. And it's doing on everything. And those are the only extra options here. But the one option that all of them have are smart. This here will actually set it so that these will change the lights based on the temperature of your GPU or your CPU. Or you can set it so that it will change based on your frames per second. If you have like your CPU up on your desk and it's right in front of your face, this might be a nice option for you if you didn't want the frames per second like sitting on your screen. Custom, you can set each LED individually, which is, that might be nice for some people, and you can do it, again, in the breathing, wave, or fixed formation. Audio. This is an option that used to be in beta, but it looks like it's in full-blown mode, because I don't see the word beta anymore. But you can actually set your lights to go off based on the level, the sync, the gain, or the bass. I'm not going to play with this because I don't want to get this video knocked for any kind of copyright infringement. But apparently that's how that works. I don't know how that works, but that's how it works. Or game. Right now it's set for a different. It only has CS:GO as a game. If you're playing CS:GO, you can set it for C4 arming, health, or grenade effects, and your lights will flash or go constant or do some kind of effect based on these effects, whichever one you set it to. So you can actually have this, like, if you're set to your health, and as you're dying, your lights are getting redder and redder, which is kind of neat. I just wish it worked for more games than CS:GO. I mean, apparently NZXT believes that there's only one game out there. So now that I've gone ahead and set everything back to my personal preference, we're going to show you the one that I've been skipping. The one option that you'll see a lot when people use these, show off this kind of setup. It's the spectrum wave. If you like the rainbows, you'll like this. Taste the rainbow, bitches! And everything is nice and multicolored. It's pretty, but a little too much, a little too ostentatious for my tastes. But if it's up your alley, then you can, have at it. Next on our list is smart device. If you were paying attention last video, I plugged in a little noise sensor into the Grid Plus. That's what this is. Using that little noise detection, I can actually go to calibrate, and it will listen to it on idle, it will listen to it under stress, it would ask you to play a game, and says, hey, push your system, play a game that'll push your system. And it will listen based on how hard the fans have to run, how hard everything has to work, and it will create a custom fan curve for for both load and idle. And then, you just go here to adaptive, you go to adaptive settings, and you go. So every case is different, every setup is different. So that's a nice little thing. Something I haven't played with because I don't feel confident in anything other than stock right now. I'm still building up my confidence. I'll play with this at some point, but this is what that is. Or you can set up your own presets. It'll, it will listen to your idle, your game, and it will get, you can go ahead and make your own preset, based on that. And finally, we just have, it looks up for your devices, your NZXT devices, the Hue Plus, the Kraken. Apparently the Grid doesn't have any drivers, just these two. So that's that. It will come here, it'll detect your devices, and it will make sure that it's all up to date. Currently with this video, we're at version 4.3.2, and the Kraken's at 2.1.8. And that is c.a.m. Like I said, something that I've been using for a few months now. I like it. There's hates for it. I don't see why, but to each their own. If you don't like it, don't like it. I prefer it. It's simple for someone who's simple like me. Next, we will show off the Evga Precision X. This becomes a program that's works with the EVGA graphics cards, specifically of the GTX series. Here we have, all kinds of monitoring we can do. A lot of stuff like you said in c.a.m, but like I said, c.a.m's a all-in-one monitoring system. This one's just specifically for your GPU. It has its own OSD. You can do overclocking here, setting your power targets, your temp targets. I believe there's some settings you can mess with voltages. I don't remember where they are currently. As you can see, we're measuring our temps, but because the For the Win series has all those 9 temperature sensors, it's set up in the GPU section, the power section, and the memory section, so that its asynchronous fans know when and where to turn on and off. And of course, it has the different colors. You can set the colors to any color we like, and they will actually show up on the graphics card. It might be hard to see on the camera, but there's a little P, a G, a P, and an M, and they will change color if they exceed these markers. So if it exceeds 20, it'll be blue. Exceeds 60, green. Exceeds 83, red. So you can just look at a glance, how hot your CPU or GPU is running. You can change these to any colors you want. Same with the EVGA logo on the side. I could change it to, it has its own different settings, as you can see. Let's go ahead and turn it to rainbow. And it will slowly fade between colors. Breathing, same as breathing on the cam. Just turn it off altogether. Or LED visualizer, which not entirely sure what it's doing, but that's that. We're just going to keep it a static on, keep it white. I could change it to, if I wanted to, I can go, give me yellow like the rest of it. And we'll just go, okay. And we got ourselves a nice yellow to match with the rest of it. But I want to keep it white for the time being. Just because, like I said, I like to keep the white and yellow theme because the hue and the RAM are both white, and we're just going to keep it that way. This model does not have a black backplate logo, so we can't play with that, which is sad. But I can deal. Also, the Maximus 10 Hero motherboard also has its own LED sync. It has all the same options. They just call them by different names. You got the smart, the music, strobing. It's all the same bit. Glowy yo-yo. I'm not exactly sure what that does. It's kind of hard to see with all the other colors in there. The wave, the rainbow. As you see, it's just cycling through colors now. But I like it on the breathing with the gold color, so I'm just going ahead and stick with that. Okay, so that's all the fun little features that this build has that I've installed currently. I'm sure there's other things I could install, but this is what this build specifically gives us based on the components inside. So with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and run a few tests, see how this system runs, and let's bring up our first benchmarking tool. Okay, and the first benchmarking tool we're going to use today is the free version of Heaven DirectX 11. It's of all the benchmarking YouTube videos I've found, this is the only one that is actually free. The other ones require purchasing, like 3D Mark and so on and so forth. So I've decided to use Heaven. As you see, I have it set to... Actually, I have it set to Extreme Custom. Because there's something I wanted to change. The resolution was... It was not a resolution that was supported by my graphics or my monitor. So I had to change that, but it wouldn't let me if I just left it on Extreme. And also to note, numbers might be a little different because the only way for me to... my numbers are different on my normal gaming monitor, my 144 Hertz monitor, but I can only record on my 60 Hertz monitor. So you're never going to see the numbers go above 60, but this should give you an indication of what this system can do. So we're going to go ahead and start a Heavens benchmark and see what this thing produces at the end. Go ahead and run this. Hopefully it will be good. I've seen Heaven run a couple of times on different channels like Jay's 2 Cents and here and there across the internet. It looks like it does a good job. Like I said, we have it set at extreme. Let's see what it does to this PC. So in order to get this started, we're just going to go ahead and click benchmark and watch what happens. I'll probably go ahead and speed this up for you guys right now. And as you can see, with our final benchmark, our average was 59.5. It barely dropped below 59 at all. But the only time it did is when I went to go and activate c.a.m's heads-up display, and it killed the frame rate there for just a brief second. So that sort of threw off the score just a tiny bit. I should have turned it on before I started the benchmark, but that was my own fault. I think it's a good score for what it is. It hardly pushed my system. I've seen other games on my system pushing it harder. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to try out some other games. I'll show you the results of a couple of other benchmarks. And then we'll go ahead and close out this video and talk about what I think about it.
Dude, right? What's going on, my dude?
What's the forecast?
Clear skies with the temperature rising.
Nice. Great range of wares here. Paradise for a technophile like you.
Okay, so I ran a couple of games, ones that I play often, and ones that have quote-unquote extreme graphics settings. I see I played Heaven. It gave me some, like I said, it didn't tax it very hard. Max we ever got on our CPU was 52. Max we ever got on GPU was, we actually got up to 70. But we got an average of 60. So actually, it did tax it a little bit. But, as you see, we played some GTA. I did the benchmark on GTA. We got our GPU temperatures around 60 degrees. And that was, I showed the graphics on the screen, what I set it to, everything was maxed out. CPU's got as high as 60. Actually, CPU got a little high on that one. That's actually abnormally high. Abnormally high. I think it only ticked that high just for a brief moment. We did Tomb Raider on its absolute highest settings, Tomb Raider 2013. I got similar results. As you can see here, I haven't been showing them actually. Heaven, our frames per second, we were in the 55 to 60 range the entire time. GTA, same deal, 55 to 60 the entire time. I think there's a little dip right there. We got 51. Tomb Raider, the same thing. It had its own benchmark. We played it. Again, 55 to 60 the whole way through. Our temps stayed pretty solid, except for that one little spike. We got up to 60 degrees. And I did a little bit of Final Fantasy 15. Again, I showed the graphics on screen, what I had it set to. The absolute highest it can go at 1080p. Because again, that's all I can record at. The Elgato only records at 1080p, 60 frames per second. I can go much higher. I was playing it by myself on my 144 hertz monitor. As you can see, my max, this was that day I played it for an hour and 40 minutes. The hottest it ever got was 74 degrees Celsius on the GPU, so it's got some pretty nice coolers on the fan. Then it remained nice and constant. The CPU got as high as 60, with an average of 51. Our max frame rate was 99. We got as low as 62. So, I mean, this system is pretty beefy. It's pretty strong. And I have a feeling that we're going to be able to make some really nice looking videos for a good while. With the exception of, the games that aren't optimized very well, even there are some games out there that, like if you remember the Batman Arkham Knight fiasco, it was like no matter what system you had, the game was optimized like shit for PC and didn't run well on any of them. Didn't matter what you had. So, with that kind of stuff aside, it looks normally when we go to play AAA games with the high level graphics on the channel, we're going to be getting some really nice looking videos. I wish I could show you on my 144 hertz monitor. Let's see. I remember playing some. This is my failed attempts at Mass Effect Andromeda. Subnautica I was playing on my 144 hertz monitor. I was getting from 70 to 130. So, I mean, that's good numbers. Tomb Raider on 144 hertz. Look at that. You know, I mean, hell. Popped in Zodiac Age. It maxes out at 60 anyway. Doom. I popped in Doom 2016 to play that for like 20 minutes. My frame rates are really good. Temps were really nice. Again, it looks like the average range for a AAA game is between, maxing out at about 70 to 72 degrees on the GPU and about 50 to 60 on the CPU for this system. Again, I'm still new to actually paying attention to this sort of thing, so I don't know if that's normal, but apparently that is normal for this rig. That's what is normal for this rig. If you were playing, if you built this rig and you saw temperatures higher than this, something's abnormal. I mean, there's always the silicon lottery, so you may have gotten bad chips, but generally speaking, this is what you should be seeing. So, guys, that is the features and benchmark video. That is the end of this series, this 3-part series on building a new PC. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was educational for you. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, hey, let me know in the comments below. If you didn't, and you'd like to have seen something I didn't explain very well or explained better, or something you'd like to have seen more of or less of, again, let me know in the comments below so that if I ever have to do this again, I can build a new PC, whether I might build Cindy a new one and do this again, or, I might have to build myself a new one someday if this one breaks again, like the last one did. If I go and do this kind of video again, I will know what you guys want to see and not see. But you gotta let me know. So let me know in the comments below if you like this episode. If you did, let me know with a like, comment, subscribe, share it, or you can click on the annotations for other videos I've done. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.